Kadeem the Dream.
Good day, mate. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. Good. I'm super happy we could make this happen, man. I really appreciate it.
Now it looks like you've got your ninja obstacle back there. A little pull up.
Yeah.
Now, can now? What's your nickname again?
I got a few, but I go off Kadeem the Dream.
Kadeem the Dream. You know where that comes from, right?
Yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
No, 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 no,
No?
no. Yeah, so Kadeem the Dream comes from the famous NBA basketball player Hakeem Olajuwon, who they called
Ah,
Hakeem the Dream. Yeah, Hakeem the Dream. Yeah.
okay. I think
Yeah.
I got
Do
it.
you do you guys watch a lot of American basketball out there?
I don't, but I'm sure I think we have plenty of people who do. But I can't say I'm
Well,
the
let me ask you
expert.
another question. Do you know who the best basketball team is in the world, right?
Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. Are we gonna
You do
say it?
know this,
This is the
huh?
LA Lakers, right?
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Kadeem. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, this is why I decided to come on because I knew that you knew what was up. Even though we're miles and miles away, you knew the right answer. I was born a Lakers fan, so that's all I know. That's all I've ever known growing up.
My
You
defense is
know,
I respect the whole sport, so
mhm.
I admire all the athletes. Mate, how have you been doing during COVID and everything? Obviously, we didn't get a chance to meet, which
Yep.
I was sad about. But how have you been going since March? I guess since this all started.
Well, it has been tough. In fact, ironically, tonight is the night that we air season 12, what we're calling a
Yes.
special season of American Ninja Warrior. We thought it was never going to happen. It took us 4 months to kind of recalibrate and to figure out how we were going to shoot it under the new guidelines of the pandemic.
Mm,
And so that made it challenging. We shot it indoors. We did it with no fans. We virtually brought in the fans, kind of like what you've seen with the NBA and some of these other, like soccer, or you guys call it football, where they've piped in virtually the fans. But really, to a man, to a woman, the ninjas stepped up in a big way. I thought Matt and I were going to have some challenges with finding that energy because we're a high energy team,
mm,
and but we were still able to find it. I think the weirdest thing though
yeah.
was the fact that the ninjas could hear us while we were kind of going through the process of analyzing them. If we had to give them hard critiques, they heard that, and that was challenging.
Mm,
But I think overall, the part that has been most challenging for me is on the personal side. It's just really trying to balance, the family as we're doing virtual learning from inside the home. We've got 4 kids, college kid. We got a middle school kid, 2 elementary kids. So there's a lot of different levels in that, and just kind of some of the stress. And I'd be remiss. I know a lot of people think, oh, well, you're a TV personality. Financially too, just like the rest of the world, it's been a huge adjustment.
mm,
No matter what scale you're on, I think everyone's feeling it, impact their lives, financially, emotionally, socially. You can get so bogged down by the uncertainties, but that's why I just kind of, lift a lot of those things up in prayer and not try to get so wrapped up into it. In the beginning, I was sucked in. I was just, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? The end of the world kind of thing. So
it's
yeah, but
crazy.
yeah, we're doing all right. We're managing. So we praise God.
That's great, man. Yeah, it was a bit because I think just obviously before we filmed, everything was going crazy, but I don't think I realized how crazy it was getting because I was just traveling around, I was training, I was in
Yeah.
Houston
And you were
one
super
moment.
excited. Yeah, you were super excited to be
Oh
coming over. And
man,
I was like, this is good. Because if I'm not mistaken, you had not competed on UK Ninja Warrior, right?
I had competed on Australian Ninja Warrior,
Oh,
so
Australian Ninja Warrior. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Australian Ninja. Yeah, Australian Ninja Warrior. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you had competed. So I think because you would be the first competitor to ever have crossed over and made the leap, which was cool. Yeah, yeah, which was
Yeah,
cool. Yep. Yeah.
I was still super shocked that they actually approved. It was a bit of a long shot on my part. I'm like, nah, I'll
Yeah.
go hard. I'll put together probably the best video that I could do, but I really didn't.
Because you got here the night and then everything just changed. Boom. I mean, And how did you end up getting back home? Were you able to get back home right away?
Yeah, man, I was super lucky because so we were set to film, I think that Friday and the Saturday, and then my flight
Yeah.
was Sunday. So my flight was already locked in for that day, and I just managed to get into the country before they shut down all the airports, because they have a total travel ban here in Australia. So especially where I live in Melbourne, we've had the worst lockdown. So we've been in stage 4 lockdown, meaning we've got curfew, we have to wear masks every day. Oh, sorry, every time I leave the house. We've definitely have had the biggest curfew. So I got out of the country just in time, just as they imposed a mandatory 2-week like stay in home quarantine. So Olivia Vivian, obviously, who you'd know from USA
Yep.
versus the World, she was testing, and the show wanted her to be on my sideline, but she had to get back to Australia for filming because they were about to start filming over there, and she literally left
Oh.
on the Thursday. We were meant to film on the Friday, and they imposed the lockdown on the Sunday. And so when
So
you
you just literally just got home, right in time.
just got home, and I was obviously going to go and watch the filming in Australia. But when you fly to Australia, you lose a day because of the times, the time zone difference. So if you leave on Sunday, you lose Monday, and I arrived Tuesday morning. So I literally missed everything by 2 days, and I had to stay in quarantine at home throughout the whole filming process. So I couldn't even go and watch Olivia and friends compete. So I was pretty
That's
devastated.
crazy.
It was a double hit.
No,
It was
no, what's the time difference right now? Is it Tuesday for you right now?
So it's Tuesday. It's actually 10 past 4 in the morning.
10 past 4 in the morning. Oh wow, this is crazy. Oh,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
I had to get up, man. I couldn't let you hang it, man. You got a busy schedule, man. You got to do all your TV stuff from your living room or
Yeah,
something. So
yeah. We're in fact that's why I says this is my 1 hour window that I have, and we're promoting the show. Just doing so this morning. I did a couple of news hits from the house,
wow.
and just telling the show starts today, that kind of thing. So
That's crazy. Well, we only have an
yeah,
hour, so I'll make the most of it. So, Akbar,
for sure.
thank you so much for coming on. And I think what's really special about you coming on is you coming from the hosting side of things. And I've done this now a few times. I think I've done 25 interviews now on my podcast, different ninjas from the US, Australia, some from Germany, and it's you hear their side of things. And I think also being a competitor myself now, I know the process as an athlete very well. I think I understand the rhythm, but it's never occurred to me what it's like for you. It's never
Mhm.
occurred to me what it's like for the host to have to prepare and go through this, and what you go through. I find that fascinating. But before we get to the ninja, man, I would love to know what you were like sort of growing up. Obviously, you being an ex NFL player, so you've had your own, I guess, challenges and struggles. So what was it like for you growing up in LA? Because I understand you grew up in Crenshaw, which, wasn't probably exactly the safest of places in the world.
Yeah, no, it was a lot different. And there's stuff that you've seen on TV from the Boys in the Hoods and stuff like that. And I grew up in the '80s during the heightened the Bloods and Crips going back and forth, high gang, high drug. But I have a very I'm first generation Nigerian American, and so my parents came to this country from Nigeria, and we kind of had a different perspective in that my parents really kind of emphasized discipline. They emphasized structure, the importance of having an education. And so while things were seemingly breaking down in certain parts of my neighborhood, where there were the enticement of joining a gang or wanting to feel like you needed protection because of all the different things that were out there, my parents ruled with an iron fist and an iron rod. And so there were 7 of us. And so I think it was important that, to my parents, that we all stayed safe. But, when you're living in a place that is, that has its challenges like it did, whether it's from the school aspect or safety aspect, or whatever it might be, you find the area in the pocket where you can thrive. And for me, it was growing up with a big family, and sports was a huge part of my life. I talked about it earlier that I'm a huge Lakers fan. Basketball was my outlet for everything. So what I ended up trading up for the gang life, drug life was basketball. That's how I kind of coped with, the struggles that I had. And when things would get tough at home, I'd be on the basketball court. And somebody, stuff at school or whatever the game, you'd find me on the basketball court. And so that's where I kind of really tried to learn a lot of my life skills. It's something that I put in my own book. It's called Everyone Can Be a Ninja. And it's why Ninja Warrior kind of resonates with me, is because Ninja Warrior reminds me of my life. It reminds me of life in general. And then there are all these little obstacles that you have to overcome. Many people won't know that, from learning disability to, being financially, constraint growing up and not having access to a lot of these things, especially from an education standpoint. I didn't realize some of the things, like not being able to take my books home. I didn't realize that was something that was happening in a disadvantaged community for whatever the social, economic, systemic, whatever it might be that kind of left us in that type of situation. But my parents taught us, several things, but one of the things was never having a pity party, and trying to really work with what you have and trying to overcome that. And a lot of people want you to start getting focused on a lot of the disadvantages, but I looked at the advantages that I did have and I focused on that and kind of built that. It doesn't mean that I wasn't without, fault or without disadvantages, but I tried to manage.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm really glad you said about, the no pity party. I strongly believe that, especially probably being on the shorter end of being a ninja, which definitely has its challenges. And
5'2", correct?
5'2". Though sometimes I think when the afro grows, I think the height goes up a few centimeters.
Right.
But I've realized 5'2" sounds a lot better than 5'3", so we're going to stick with 5'2". But it definitely has its challenges. But I don't sit here and complain about it, because what can you do when this is the card you've been dealt with? So no, I'm really glad that you've mentioned that. So how did you find yourself going from basketball to football? What happened there? Because I'm guessing you probably.
So my brother before me. So there's 7 of us, but my brother directly older than me, that just a couple of years older than me. He was a football star, and everyone, when I went to high school, we had the same high school and Crenshaw High School, and everybody was like, "You got to play like your brother. You got to play." I was like, "No, man, I'm going to the NBA. I'm going to be playing next to Magic Johnson. I don't care what you say. I'm going to the league." And, the truth is I wasn't as good as I thought I was in basketball, but I was good because I played for an elite basketball squad, but I was playing the elite amongst the elite. Our high school basketball team was like the junior Lakers. And so, my high school football coach just badgered me for years and years and said, "Okay, finally." I said, "All right, I'll try it. All right, I'll try it." And I stepped out there my very first day of practice. I cried like a baby because, basketball players, we think we're pretty boys, you get hit and you cry because you got fouled, like, all the dramatization, if you foul somebody, you walk around like you tough. And I thought that was tough. And man, my first practice, they beat me up. I was crying under my helmet so badly. It hurt. I mean, I was just like pain I had never felt before. I'm like, I just remember coming home and I was like, I'm done. This is barbaric. Who does this? Okay, I'm not doing this. And so I quit. And my dad said, "You did what?" In his thick Nigerian accent. "You don't quit. You start it, you finish it." And my dad didn't even care about sports. He could care less. All he wanted me to do was get an education. Sports was just like a thing. I don't even know why you guys are doing this. This is recreation. And so he made me do it, and I copped a big attitude. Played in 1 year, but my high school coach kind of whipped me into shape. And I just showed, incredible raw talent, and I was able to get 5 scholarship offers from universities. And that changed everything because I got 0 for the many years that I invested in. For the many years that I invested in the basketball, I got 0 scholarship offers.
Wow.
And when it came to football, I had 5. So at 6'6", 224 pounds, I was supposed to be a point guard. That's the size of Kobe Bryant, you know? And so I didn't have those skills. I always played as a big man in basketball. But in football, I was considered like a giant, 6'6", 260 defensive end. And I had all of the athleticism from basketball that allowed me to be super freaky on the football field. And so that's when I said, you know what, I might as well try it. And it ended up being a blessing. And I think that kind of is for a lot of people. A lot of people don't try things out of fear. I had the fear. Out of insecurity, I had the insecurity, but it ended up being the biggest blessing. I don't know that I host American Ninja Warrior if I didn't travel the NFL route. I don't know that. You know what I mean? Like it opened up doors that is still being opened for me because of my affiliation of such a massive platform, especially here in the States, you know. And so I'm forever grateful. And it's just, again, you know, my book, Everyone Can Be a Ninja, it really kind of explores the idea of being able to leap beyond your insecurities and your fear to be able to see the blessing. Because I always say on the other side of fear is something magical. A quick anecdote. I went, you know, Black folks, we don't go skydiving. You know, we don't do those kind of things. You know, it's just not, you know, it's not culturally a thing we do, you know.
Nope, not at all.
Nope.
Nope.
But I will add this. My buddies and I, we decided that for one of my buddies' bachelor party, we were going to do something different. We wanted to keep it wholesome, not do any traditional craziness. So we said, let's just do some real manly stuff. Let's jump out of a plane. Let's go to a shooting range and shoot some guns and just stuff that we had never done before. Yeah. And we decided to jump out. And let me tell you something. I was talking big talk, big noise, big trust. Oh, like, oh, yeah, I got this. This is nothing. And we're going through all the training. We get up and we're 15, 16, however many thousands of miles up in the air. And, man, they open up that door and I'm like, my chest was all up in my throat, into my mouth. I'm like, and I was the last person. There's 5 of us. First friend took off. Second friend took off. And I mean, and when they took off, you can't see them. They all died as far as I was concerned. And now I'm the last guy up. I'm like, no. And the guy behind me was smaller than me. He was like maybe 5'6", 5'7", because he had to be lighter because I was a little heavier. And the max load is like 500 pounds. I think you guys use stones, or what do you guys use?
We use kilos.
Kilos, okay. So that's what, 200 and something kilos, or something like that. 500 was the max load for that. And so I had to have somebody smaller. So he's trying to push me out. I'm like, heck no, you're not pushing me out of this plane. So he does some
feet dangling.
Yeah, right. I was like, no. And I'm at the edge of the plane. I'm looking at this. I just see clouds. And so he eventually gets me to jump by tricking me on the count and all this other stuff. And we go, and I was so tense and I was so tight. And I just, what am I getting to? I experienced one of the coolest and most magical things, but I went beyond the stereotype of, you know, what Black folks can and cannot do. I went beyond my fear, even though I was reluctant. I was heavily reluctant. But I saw something and experienced something that most people don't experience. And I saw it from a perspective, like to be that, I mean, you just realize how massive the world is. You realize the space in which we're operating. And you just realize the beauty that God has designed around us. And you just get to see it from a different angle. Like, that's like being able to see Earth from space. Can you imagine if you went into space? Like, it gives you a bigger and a different mindset. You come back to Earth, I'm sure astronauts are changed forever when they see the totality of the moon and Earth, and, you know, and seeing what space looks like. And so that's why I always try to challenge people to move past your wall. You know, like, you got to get uncomfortable or comfortable being uncomfortable.
Whew, man, give me 20 ninja obstacles back to back any day.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, that's scary. I mean, I can be in a plane. I have no problems flying, but I have this, really bad phobia of exposed heights. So being exposed and being able to fall off something, at, you know, I just can't do it.
So you don't do roller coasters?
See, that's the thing. I can. I don't like them, but I can do them. But I think because I'm strapped in, if there's a chance that I can fall, then like everything changes for me. Like I get vertigo. So
Yeah.
it's, man, so you're brave.
Yeah.
You're real brave.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah. So I understand that you didn't get drafted from the actual NFL draft, as I understand. So what happened? So you were probably going in for the draft, probably getting ready. Were you fully like prepared and set to potentially play NFL, or was it still like, oh, if it happens, it
No, no, no,
happens?
no, no. Yeah, yeah. No, I was set. I thought for sure because I got hurt, injured my Achilles tendon. I ruptured it and had surgery. And so it gave me an extra year of eligibility in college. And the year prior, I was scheduled to be drafted. And I knew, okay, well, if I play an extra year, it's only going to increase my stock. So I was supposed to be a low round draft pick. And I thought, well, if I play another year, then perhaps I will get, maybe drafted in the 4th round, 5th round, something like that. And so there's 7 rounds in the NFL draft, and there are 32 teams, and you can do the math. And every round, 32 teams go, 32 teams go, 32 teams go. And here we are on the last day of the draft, 7 rounds go by, about 10 more names left. And I'm thinking, I'm getting really scared. I'm like, my name is not being called. It doesn't. And oh man, I just broke down. I cried because it's like when you have worked so hard in your life for something and boom, you just see it all crash and just nothing. I mean, the amount of hours, the fun, all the stuff that I sacrificed. And I go, no, this is not going to happen. And I started thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Because you invest so much that you neglect everything else. Nothing else in my life was really developed because I was so heavy into sports. It was everything for me. It was school and sports. That was it. And so when that happened, I was just blown away. But then my agent called me and said, hey, the Oakland Raiders at the time, before they moved to the Las Vegas Raiders now, but the Oakland Raiders at the time was like, we want to bring you in as a free agent. And so really that just means I'm a walk-on. And
Yeah.
now I have to earn my spot. And let me tell you something. That was the hardest roster spot I ever had to earn. But I'm actually grateful for the opportunity in which I entered the NFL. I didn't have the long football career like I wanted. I didn't have the illustrious career that my brother had. He ended up becoming the all-time sack leader for the Packers and, big contract, all this other kind of stuff. I didn't have that. But what I did learn was a certain tenacity. I walked into a locker room where they drafted a first-round defensive lineman. They drafted a linebacker that they converted to a defensive lineman in the 3rd round. They drafted a 4th rounder. They had a veteran in Trace Armstrong, who is a big-time older defensive lineman. So the cards were stacked against me, and I saw no way that I was really going to succeed. They gave me the number 69, which obviously has all of his sexual innuendos, and I was the butt of everyone's joke. But it was also a number you wouldn't give a defensive lineman. And, here in the States, I don't know if it's the same as in Australia, but numbers, we're very particular about our numbers. Like your numbers says it's an extension of you. And so to give me 69 was like a nasty number. Like you can't even move. Like the jersey just feels heavier and just get that number off of me. And then on top of that, I was put in the auxiliary locker room. So there's the main locker room where we had our big stars like Jerry Rice and Tim Brown and Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson. I mean, it was a list of Hall of Famers, but I was in the small locker room on the other side. And so it just felt like there was no way I was ever going to make this team. And I just kept working my butt off, believing in the impossible, knowing that it was, like the odds were stacked against me. If you would have put money down in Vegas, I'm sure everybody would have betted that I was not going to make the team. And I'll never forget, there's this guy they call the Grim Reaper.
Oh,
and
God.
The Grim Reaper is the guy that comes in and gets you to tell you that you're cut. And he brings you and says, hey, bring your notebook, bring your playbook. The coach wants to meet you. That's the Grim Reaper. So here we are, last day of cuts. It's 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time is the last time that you can cut the roster down. That's it. This is the final day. So it's like 12:50, and I'm looking at my watch, and I'm hiding behind the door in the auxiliary locker room. Like in my mind, I think if I hide, the Grim Reaper can't get me. This is a true story now. So I'm hiding behind the door like 12:55. I'm like, oh man, but I can't be late to practice. If I'm late to practice, that's a reason for them to find me and cut me. So I said, oh no. So I stepped out from behind the door at 12:56 and I'm like looking around and I get a big old slap in the butt and it's my teammate, should be future Hall of Famer Bill Romanowski. He goes, hey, congratulations, you made the team. And I was like, no, I haven't. I still got 4 minutes. They can still cut me. And I'm running out. And man, let me tell you, when that horn rang or it sounded off for the first official practice of the season, I was in complete tears, man. I mean, wow. Like real legitimate, just ugly. I'm trying to hold it because you realize, you know, like not only did I come in undrafted, but I had to fight like hell to get in. And with that much opportunity, but I go back to my parents and I think about the circumstances that I grew up in. And I think about the cards being stacked against me as a child, the community that I grew up, financially, all these different things that people will tell you that you can't do. And somehow you find a way to rise. And so I think to me, that was the theme. And again, bringing it back to Ninja Warrior, it's what I genuinely love. When people say, well, where do you get all this excitement from? The excitement comes from I am them. Because a lot of the ninjas are underdogs. You know, they aren't your big time LeBron James athletes coming out to like they're your very ordinary but extraordinary people.
Wow, what a story, man! It totally makes sense now. I mean, why you're so passionate on the telly. Now, how was that transition for you? So once you finish your career, you got some work with the NFL Network. How was that transition for you? I was reading you did some acting and voice coaching. Did you find that a smooth transition, or was that uncomfortable?
It was a rough transition, to be honest with you, but it was one that I knew I could do because it was who I was. So I started taking acting classes, not to be the next Denzel Washington, but really it was to become more of who I was. And I think that's what acting does. Acting is really, by definition, is taking real behaviors and bringing it into an imaginary world. And you're not acting per se, you're just taking and observing natural behavior, like the way you and I talk, or the way you and I drive. Acting would be driving like this. Like you see some, like no one drives side to side like this, but you oftentimes see that characterized on television, right? But it's not the way people drive. But when you drive, you just kind of, or you might just kind of, but you're not feverishly going back and forth. And so I needed to learn to be more of who I was, but there was massive insecurities, because when you don't see yourself represented, when you don't get the confirmation or affirmation that you are good enough, you get, loads of insecurity. And so that was the hardest part, trusting that I was good enough. Because being myself was like, ugh, like, what does that mean? And a couple of years later, I would run into that challenge. But I then made the transition into broadcasting, doing college football games, just kind of calling it as I see it. And so that was fun. But there were challenges in it, in that it was just a lot of work. 100 guys on this team, 100 guys on that team, and then the amount of research you have to do to kind of that talk about the X's and O's, and then the personnel and what they do and how they match up. And it was a lot. And it was stressful in the marriage. And so I got out of doing live broadcast football games, and I went into doing studio analysis, which I really loved, because then my personality really was able to show up, and I could just be more free. And I think that then caught the attention of some of the producers in Hollywood. And that is when I got the call to audition for American Ninja Warrior. And that was a nightmare. That first year, until this day, I tell people, please don't go back and watch season 5, because it's so, as my kids would say, it's so cringy. It's so cringy. So cringy. So cringy.
Oh, that's hilarious. Wow. What a story. So what is it like, I guess, preparing for taping. So I guess, you know, from an athlete's point of view, I know, okay, right, you're going to be, you know, you have to go into the studio, you got to do your backstory, you got to film all that. You know, you're going to be shown the course at a certain time, and then, you know, you're sitting in a room, you then got to get pumped, you got to get psyched, you got to go do all your analysis, and then time comes, you're up on the course, it's lights, everything's crazy, it's 3 a.m, you know, so I know that, like, back to front, I think. What is it like for you? So what do you have to go through leading up to filming and everything? Like, what happens?
You know, a ton of preparation on my part, and to be quite honest with you, I could do it without any preparation.
Mm.
But because I have this, what I call, you've heard of small man complex, I call it
Every day.
yeah, I guess I would have small man complex in a way, in that, you know, it's oftentimes that people overlook you. And so because I was never a big time NFL star, or I was never like the star, I was always the solid guy you could depend on, but I wasn't like the man, you know what I mean? And I'd be lying to you if I had said that I didn't crave wanting to be the man. And what I noticed is that, you know, during a telecast of one of my football games or whatever, if I made a play, it was very easy to overlook me and talk about the superstar cornerback or the superstar linebacker or whatever, and you would just overlook that I even made a play. And so I said, if I ever had that opportunity to be as an announcer on the other side, I would give everyone their due. Doesn't matter who you are, how big time you are, how small time or medium time, I was going to give you your due. So for me, we get, on a typical night, we'll get about 100. First night, we'll get about 100 competitors. I watch every single video, but not only do I watch every single submission video, I take notes of every video. But not only do I do that, I snoop through their Instagram. So I have some sort of commentary, something to give. So I have an understanding of who that person is, because essentially you're calling it blind. Now I can just take the surface notes that are giving to me and then just, you know, and then just kind of have a fun day with that. And most people don't know, out of the 100 calls, only 10 will show to air. You know, only 10 will show to air, you know. So there's obviously a high failure rate because not everyone makes it that far, but I want to be prepared, because I never know if the person you think may not, like I was not supposed to make it to where I was supposed to go, like the person you think won't make it will make it. And so if I don't have any notes and I don't know who that person is, how do I celebrate this person? How do I actually get that person and let them know that I've done it? So I treat everyone with true equality, in that if I know that you're a repeat performer and you've always repeated at a high level, I still take the time to figure out what it is that you're doing new, or if you're a new person, I want to know everything about you. And so in fact, I even have the people who assist me with the notes. I said, put everybody's Instagram in it, because I want to go through their Instagram. So as I'm taking my notes, I watch videos, I take notes of things that stick out to me. Oh, this person's super athletic. Oh, this person can do a backflip like easy. Oh man. And I look at just from an athlete. So I'm just athlete to athlete watching, and then I'll hear their story, and then I'll connect as a human. And then afterwards I started thinking about, okay, what can I say about this person? His name's Kadeem. Oh, I'm gonna call him Kadeem the Dream, you know, or, you know, this person does, you know, and I find different things that I can try to implement during the run that will essentially highlight the athlete.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that takes days, because to do that if you think about it, each video is about 2 to 3 minutes. That's already 300 minutes just in video watching. But then the time it takes to do notes, go back and hold on, did I hear that right? This person did what? Oh man, I better write this down, because I could use that during the telecast, because this is very important. And then I'll take the time. And you know, some people's Instagram is better than others. And you can get caught in somebody's Instagram. You're like, oh shoot, I'm all the way in 2015. Hold on, I got more people to study. I better put this person's Instagram away. So Instagram can be the thief of time, because you start going and you can get down a rabbit hole. And like, really, I just need to see 2 or 3 videos just to see who the person is, to confirm who this person is. But yeah, that's the amount of preparation that goes into every episode for me.
That's amazing. See, I thought I was special when you messaged, like, oh my God, wow, he wants to know about my life. Now I know you do it. Now you know you do it to everyone. So now. So no, but that's insane. Because
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, the Australian hosts, they don't do what you do, man. Like that's amazing. I remember being at filming and they mispronounced this dude's name, and I had a great laugh. It was funny, but I just felt so
Yeah.
bad for the athlete. So just, I think, yeah, that definitely makes a whole host of difference.
Yeah.
So
But it comes from, to me, I think until you've been on the other end, sometimes it can be hard to realize how important it is to that person. Like, just say my name right, or just at least give me credit, like recognize me. So that's why one of my favorite catch lines is "I see you," because I really do see you.
Oh, that's amazing. So, what is it like for you? So you're up in the box with Matt. So you've got notes, I guess, on everyone. What is the filming process on your end when you're up there?
The filming process is just let it flow, let it go. Really, in the beginning, when I first started, I needed a lot of help. So there was a lot of management and production notes, but they will just say, "All right, we got our first runner," and that's it. And Matt and I just go. And I think it took Matt and I about 3 years to kind of really sync up to where he gets my corny references, I get his references and his jokes because he's a comedian. He's really funny. And a lot of the stuff that he says sometimes doesn't make air, but hilarious. But yeah, we just go. They just let us go. There's no coaching us up. There's nothing. We just kind of let it go, and which is different because a lot of times in television, they want to have control over the messaging of what you say and how you're saying it.
Mm,
And I think it took a couple of years to understand what it is and how it is that they want it to be conveyed. And then they just, because I'm very good at saying what I see.
mm,
I sometimes get lost in who's in what place. So Matt's the brainiac, right? Matt can go, oh, that person had the fast. No, but this person was. I don't even bother with all that stuff. I just want to see the athlete. I want to see what they're going, and I want to motivate them to get to the end. And if that happens, I'm going nuts. And
yeah.
especially if I know somebody has like the cards stacked against them. I go the craziest when somebody that you least expect makes it to the end or gets further than you thought, because
Mm,
that's when it's like the excitement is at its highest level. Because I think if I recognize it, the rest of the world recognizes that this person has the cards stacked against them. But it's what I love about my relationship with Matt is how well we play off of each other, and it doesn't have to be something that is rehearsed. We just go.
that is amazing because it's hard to tell if you guys are scripted or not. Like it always comes off like you're just saying what you think, and that's amazing that you guys
Yeah.
pull that off. Not to speak badly of the
And
Australians.
a
Yeah.
portion, a portion of it is scripted. So when I do replay, I'll say, hey, let's take a look at this again. But sometimes I'll do it live, but because I don't know how they're going to cut the tape up at the end to show the replay. So
Mm.
I'll do it live, but again, I don't know what they're going to show. So that's when we do the replays. All those replays are done in a post. And then sometimes if there's a flub or we messed up or something like that, they will have us go in and do voiceovers to fix up something that we might have messed up while we were calling the run.
Yeah.
And then they'll script some of it. Some of it will be scripted because, like, oh, we forgot to say that this person is honoring their mom. So we'll fix it in and add it. Hey, and he's running for his mom. And then, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair enough, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I've got some questions from people. I'm conscious of time, so I want to make sure
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't
go
go
ahead,
over.
rip through it.
So this is from Bryson actually, Bryson Klein. How much commentary training did you do?
I did a lot of commentary training, but not like you would think. So I went to this thing called Broadcast Boot Camp coming while I was in the NFL, and that kind of just helped to get me an introduction. But what I needed more than anything was to be able to trust myself. So the commentary training, quote unquote, came really from my acting class. But then I had to do other things like training to read teleprompter. That was hard. That is not an easy thing to do at all.
Mm.
And my first year was absolute hell. That's why I don't like season 5 of American Ninja Warrior, because it's cringy for me. But my first year, it was different. Entertainment was different from doing, traditional sports. And the American Ninja Warrior is obviously a legitimate sport, but it's sports entertainment. So there's mechanism of it that is very TV element, it has the TV element to it. And I remember they said, okay, I want you to memorize the opening line. Hey, welcome. We're here in Baltimore where the such and such, like all that stuff is scripted, when we do our stand-ups.
Yeah.
And I could not get it right. And I still, to this day, I still get a little nervous when I see the teleprompter pop on because I struggled with it in a big way that is still very traumatic for me. And so I just kept reading. I have one downloaded on my iPad. Before any script goes up, I always want to make sure I read it because sometimes my inflection isn't right. Because I just go. As you can tell, I talk fast. I just go. I just go. But sometimes having to slow down and read it and actually, hey, we want you to inflect here. And
it's not natural.
It's not. It didn't feel natural, right? Like I don't speak like that, but it took time, and over time, and kudos to the executive producers. They really, really stayed in there with me because they could have bailed me like, this guy's not gonna work out. They started to write the copy the way I speak.
Nice.
They started to space it out based on how I read because when words are clumped up together, very hard for me to read. And I remember Kent Weed, our executive producer, say, hey, will this help if I space it out? Because when they space it out now, I can actually, my eyes can follow along. So if I have to look off and I come back, I can still figure out where I am based off of the spacing block. But when they put everything condensed like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't wear my eyes. And then you're like, I don't want people to know that I'm reading, but now I sound, it was just weird. But yeah, it was training, but I think more than anything, it was persistency and consistency, constantly reading over and over to get better with my faults.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, and I must say, when we watch it, obviously when I watch an episode, it comes off both of you guys so natural. And this is probably what leads to my next question, which I back this one. Can you be the host of Australian Ninja Warrior?
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure how that would work contractually, but that would actually, so here's the thing. So here's a thing that I think ties in. So I have been to 5 continents, but the only 2 that I haven't been to are the big A's, which is Antarctica and Australia. I love to travel. And so I've been to 40 countries. I want to come to Australia so badly. My wife told me that I couldn't go without her.
Fair enough.
And so, because I was traveling with my boys before I got married, and then we kept it into my marriage where we'd travel. It was just a thing that we started from as rookies in the NFL, and we would travel, go all these different places. But I've always wanted to go to Australia. So how cool would that be is that the very first time I go to Australia, I step in and I host Australian Ninja Warrior. That'd be pretty cool.
And I promise you, I think Australia, the ninjas, on behalf of the community, we back that. So
okay, well, hold on, Kadeem, but let me ask you this. Okay, so here's something that I would have to try to figure out though. How would that work with my American accent? Would I sound weird to the viewers at home? I'm like, hold on, who is this guy with this American accent?
That probably would be, but the community would be grateful.
So let me ask this, because here in America, it works very well. Like when you have like a Simon Cowell from America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
And he comes on and he gives his British accent. Somehow it works here in the States where there's a higher level of credibility if you have an English accent. I would say a little bit too with the Australian, just because you guys have a different cadence in the way you speak. And so it lends itself to a little bit more credibility. And people listen because it's so different. So we're more accepting here in the States when they have someone like that. And we'll see that in different shows and stuff like that. Is it the same way in the, it's not the same way? So what is it when you hear, like, how do I sound to you right now? Like, how does that sound? How do I sound?
I mean, I think you just sound excited and super happy. Look, I think you'd have to see. Australians are very unique. We have a very weird, well, not weird, it's just very different. It's a very different, humor, and it's a bit dry, and well, no, actually, I shouldn't say it's a bit dry. It's just an odd sense of humor. That just might just be me. I might just be a weirdo,
Mm.
but I think you probably have to just wrap your head around some of the mannerisms. You probably need to spend some time here before you'd host, just so you could get a feel. Because I mean, our hosts, I don't know. I mean, the, it's hard to say. I mean, they are journalists, so they
Mm.
don't have a sporting background, which I think
So
is,
very proper. Are they too proper for the sport?
well, yes and no. I feel like the excitement isn't as genuine as when it comes from
Mm.
you and Matt. Like, one of our sideline hosts is a cricketer. His name's Freddie Flintoff, and we all can barely understand what he's saying, because he's from the UK. I think he's from like Manchester or some. I'm not sure where exactly he's from in the UK, but he's very hard to. I think Liverpool. He's very hard to understand, but he's funny. So I think if you'd come over, just maybe spent some time here, learn the cadence, get a feel for it. I reckon you could adapt quite well. If you just came straight in, you might have some issues.
But you
But
know what
but
I
I
would
believe in
say
you.
though. But you know what I would say though. I think this is I think has a larger application. Is
Mm,
that if you're coming into a new environment, all you can do is you can learn about the culture for sure, and
mm,
learn about kind of what is humorous to you versus what's humorous to me. But
mm,
I think what makes like a Simon Cowell, or I think when Piers Morgan was hot for a second here in the United States, is that they brought their own British flair to
mm,
America, and that was just a breath of fresh air. Nobody had
mm,
ever really heard that on television, and they made it work. They made it
mm,
work with their sarcasm, with their just kind of direct bluntness. Whereas that's not the case, because Americans aren't very direct. They're not going to tell you your breath stink. Okay, they're just going to let you sit in it. Where an Englishman might come up to you and is like, there's an offensive odor coming from you, and you'd be like, what? So, but now you put that on television and it works. Who knows? Maybe the American style works just because it's something brand new. It may take people a couple of times to get used to it, but who knows? To answer your question, yes, I'd be interested in doing it. I got to talk to my agent and
Yeah.
see if that's something I could do.
I'll make some calls for you. I'll
All right.
call, make some calls over here. um, well, I mean, you've done this next question, but this would be cool to see. When can we see you compete in the main season? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, you know what? That's not going to happen. I have officially retired from competing on American Ninja Warrior. A lot went into it when I competed on season, what was that, season 10 already? Whatever season it was very, very hard. The training was, I have so much respect for you guys. I think since then, I've only gotten better with my commentary because I truly know what it means to prepare, which is different from being a footballer, where I'm so used to lifting heavy weights and but when I have to carry my body weight and I had to do all this stuff, I mean, it was hard. 3 months I trained for Ninja Warrior every single day. Every single day I was training because I didn't want to make myself look like a fool. I'm like, I
Mm.
can't talk about it and not do it. I gotta at least get to the fourth or fifth obstacle. I can't go out on the first one because then now I'm a bum. And so yeah, I ended up doing that, and I just said, man, now that I've done it, just like
That's
jumping
it.
out the plane, I don't have to do it ever again. I don't have to do it ever again. So when people ask me, I'm like, yeah, I just ran it last year. Check it out on YouTube, even though it was like 2-3 years ago. I was like, so every time somebody asks me, I always say, oh yeah, I just ran it last year. Check it out.
Hey, that's fair enough, man. You've done it. That was the Red Nose special, right? Was
Yeah,
it
that was
the?
the Red Nose special. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the Red Nose special.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you got to, like? Didn't you get to the wall?
I got to the buzzer.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
got
You
to
got
the
to the buzzer.
buzzer.
That's right.
So I
Yeah.
did skip one obstacle, but we could do that. So I handed it over to Kevin Bull to do one obstacle because during training, I actually popped
Oh.
part of my bicep. So I had a hole in my bicep,
Oh, damn.
but about the size of a nickel, a little bigger than a nickel. And I'm like, I don't want to tear this on this obstacle. And it was, so it's one that I really wanted to do, but I said, I'm not going to let my pride get in the way. And then I completely ripped my bicep.
Oh,
So yeah, I did 5 of the 6 obstacles on Ninja Warrior. And let me tell you, when I hit that buzzer, it was the most exhilarating thing ever. And it's like, I totally get it. When you've worked hard for so long for something, even though my training was 3 months, imagine the ninjas who've been waiting for a year just to get to that course. And when they hit that buzzer, it feels so good. Like nobody, like even when Matt was talking about, I don't even care what you're saying, I'm hitting this buzzer. Like, yes, like give me, like I never won a Super Bowl. So that was my confetti. That was my smoke. That was my big time moment, be able to hit that and going, I made it.
Oh, that's amazing. Hey, you're already doing like 90% better than most ninjas. Yeah. So man, props to you, man. What does this one say? What do you think about ninja becoming more of a sport with leagues like NNL and UNX?
Well, I think it speaks to the appetite that people have for Ninja Warrior to be able to create this year-round or seasonal thing. I think what we're going to see is that eventually there is going to kind of push itself into maybe perhaps the Olympics, but really get into itself where it's a legitimate sport. But I think there may be a league formed around it, and that would be cool. That a television show concept turns into a sport, like a national thing where people are doing it everywhere in a real league sport. I tell you what was also fascinating about that is that Ninja Warrior, I think what a lot of people ask me, what do you attribute the success to? And I think I attribute the success to the community, but the reality of it is just that it's not a gimmicky show. It's not like, hey, if you fall and you get a bunch of paint thrown on you and, you know, it's just, these are things that you could really apply in everyday life. There was a story in France where this guy, I forget his name, but there's a falling baby getting ready to fall off the balcony. And this guy is at the bottom floor and he climbs up like 7 floors up a bunch of balconies to rescue this baby. I mean, he just went straight into action. And that seems like it could be a Ninja Warrior obstacle. You know what I mean? So these are things that you could do on an everyday basis, or you can make a Ninja Warrior obstacle out of your house. You know, I wish I was a Ninja Warrior for one reason only. You know, as a child, you know how you think, man, what if I was hanging on the edge of a cliff? I'd hang on for dear life and I would never let go because, you know, I would wait until somebody came to rescue me. I now know that is not true. I now know that the body has a certain limit. And so unless you train as a Ninja Warrior, you're either going to be stuck or you're going.
That's funny. You know, when you told me that story, I just had a flashback. I remember I was locked out of work once and my boss was away and he was a bit stressed with things. And I think someone had passed away in his family and I was locked out of work and the gym I was working was on the 2nd floor of this building. And I left the keys in there and I didn't want to call, I couldn't call this guy when he was at his auntie's funeral and I had to climb the building to get in.
You did what?
It was only 2 floors, but I had to scale the building. There were people driving by and stuff like, what the hell is this guy doing? And climb through a window just so I could get in and open up.
Are you serious? Oh man, I wish somebody had that on video.
I was like, actually, that looks like a bit like an I-beam. So I had to grip this thing and then use this pole and then climb to the top of this awning and then go over the top and then get into the building. I couldn't believe I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kadeem, you make me want to scream. That is not. You said only 2. It's only 2 stories. Like that's not a big deal. Like if you fall from a 2-story floor, I mean, you can kill yourself.
Yeah, well,
that is possible.
Well,
or be like wickedly paralyzed.
Yeah, I mean, look. Whether it was technically 2 stories, I'm not too sure. But I had, the window was high enough. I couldn't jump to it.
You don't sound normal, right? I know I said that, people in America don't say how it is, but I'm going to tell you how it is. That's not normal. It's not normal just to go, oh yeah, well, it wasn't that high. It was just like right there. Like, oh, I would just jump up there. And then like, the average human being thinks about takes a risk assessment and going like, that's dangerous. I'll just wait until tomorrow to get the keys. But you decided that, yeah, not a big deal.
I tell you, if it wasn't for Ninja, I would not have seen it in that way. I kid you not. Yeah, so it was so funny. Here's a good one. What are the qualities that you observe that separate the elite ninjas from everyone else?
Positive talk. I can always tell when somebody's going down because I can see their body language and what the conversations that they're having with themselves. My high school coach made me memorize this poem. I'll give you a short version. It's like, if you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you won't. If you'd like to win, but don't think you can, it's almost a cinch that you won't. Life's battles don't always go to the strongest or fastest man, but the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. It's all in the state of mind. That's just an abbreviated version of that poem. But oftentimes I'll see guys who are in trouble, or some of the girls that they're in trouble, and then they start to, you can see it on the front. I was like, oh, they're going down. They're going down. Like I will call it out because I see something that indicates to me that they stopped believing that they could. Because the truth is that we all have pain. We all go through pain. But I think what separates the great ninjas from the rest of the ninjas are the ones who can ignore the pain or temporarily bypass the pain. Not that they don't feel it, but to achieve their goals. Sometimes when you get to something that's uncomfortable, you pause. But the longer you pause, then the worse it becomes. And I think the great ones just go, okay, ooh, pause. All right, keep going. Just keep going. It's just like you see something scary and then you go, okay, I'm moving forward. And I think the other part of it is being a technician. It's the amount of work. There's this one ninja who's in the community for a while, and he really thought because he was the rippest and he was the strongest and that somehow he didn't have to do ninja training. And he was so wrong. And every year he would go out, he would make some excuse about something. And I told him, I said, look, if you really want to go far, you've got the athleticism, you've got the look, you got everything. But if you don't put the time in, it's just like you don't have a reason to be upset. My golf coach told me this when I was trying to golf. I'm horrible at golfing. But I used to get so mad because I'm so competitive. I would get so angry at myself because I couldn't get the balls to go right. And he goes, you're not good enough to be upset. And I go, ooh, I like that, but that hurts. You're not good enough to be upset. And so I say that to some of them, like, if you haven't put in the time, don't expect to go far. Don't expect. If you do, consider it luck and a fluke. Because it's not going to happen consistently, because Ninja constantly will challenge you with the difficulty, the level of difficulty increasing every single obstacle.
It's funny your coach said that. I've had to say that a few times to a few people.
Yeah.
It's the delusion, and being an athlete, the delusion of coming into the show thinking, yeah, I saw Daniel Gill do that on TV. Yeah, man, he flew through that. I can do that. I'm like, yo, that's almost an insult to the amount of work that we put in. So
yeah, it's a lack of respect. But the also too is culturally, I think people have changed. I try to get on my kids about this, and it's the one thing that kind of irritates me as a parent, because it's like, how do you relate this to your kids? Like a lot of time, the kids want instant success now. They want to be good now. In fact, they don't even want you to see them struggle. They just want you to recognize them when they're good. That's it. Like, I'm a made man. I'm a made woman. Like, that's it. And you carry that over into the culture now. And it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. Well, hold on now. Like, when my kids would tell me like, oh yeah, Dad, I can do that. I'm an expert at this. And he'd be like, okay, I don't want to burst your bubble. You can be an expert at this, but you haven't put in enough time. Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? And it's just like, you either get stuck as a parent, like crippling them and making them think like, oh yeah, you're an expert at this, when the truth is you haven't put any work. So their expectation of what putting in work means, like they see somebody on the internet or something, they go, oh, I can do that. I want to do that. I'm like, you do know this takes a lot of time. to be able to perfect it. And so I think that's the one thing I'm seeing with some of the younger athletes is being able to go, like it takes time to put it to be a ninja. It's not something you just do overnight. Some people are physically gifted, but you still have to put in the work.
Absolutely. Just a side question, it just occurred to me. Do you think being the host and over the years has actually made you a better parent?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I have a lot of stories. I have a lot of stories to tell. I have a lot of them stuck in my head. Fresh stories because Ninja Warrior, I'm telling you, it's what motivated me to write a book. Because I sat there for 7 years and I looked at all these ninjas, thousands and thousands of ninjas, and it hit me. I said, you know what? This is just like life. Right when you get done with one obstacle, you have a little bit of a walkway to get to the next one. It's the one time that you can take a deep breath and go, ooh, I got through that one. All right, that was good. Yeah. And right when you go, there's something totally different. And then, so you got past that one. And so life is just a series of obstacles that you're going to have to overcome, a la the pandemic that we're all in. Somehow we've all been unified by this one obstacle that we're all trying to figure out how to overcome, or even how to manage with it. And, but if you don't, like if you're thin skinned and if you break and you don't have any, desire to want to be in it for the long haul, you'll fall. You'll fall out somewhere and you'll be an excuse maker, right? You'll be, and that's what I try to tell my kids, like, hey, look, and even the ones who don't hit a buzzer, I'm like, you know what this person had to overcome just to get here? Like the stories behind some of these athletes are so powerful. And it's what makes me fall in love with, my daughter asked me, she says, could you do Ninja Warrior if they had it for 10 more years? I said 100%. 100%, because I'm going to be honest with you, and I shouldn't even be saying this, but it's a shame that they pay me. Because I learn more from the ninjas than anything, because it is like being in class. It's the reverse of what I'm doing with my son. I pay for my son to go to college, but in this time, I'm getting paid to go to the hard school knocks, the ninja school, where I get to learn about all of these different obstacles and how people respond. So to me, it's just been a big lecture hall for me.
That's awesome. Well, that's how I want to live my life. I want to get paid to learn. Oh, that's amazing. Here's a random one. What moisturizer do you use, if you use moisturizer?
I only use two brands. I use Olay lotion for my face. It's the only thing that touches my face. And I've used Dove soap since I was in what grade was it? 1996. It's the only soap that I use. I don't use any other soap. No other soap touches my body, especially my face. So, Dove moisturizing soap.
I've made notes. That's something I think Black people need to know across.
Yes.
That's a national notice.
I will say this though, growing up in a Nigerian household though, for many, many years before I started using Olay, I used Vaseline, straight up Vaseline on my face. And I don't know if that's a Black American thing, if that's a Nigerian thing, but growing up now, people are like, you put Vaseline? I was like, yeah, I could still put it on. I put it all over my body. Like Vaseline was my lotion growing up. My dad would buy tubs and tubs of Vaseline. So yeah, that was like my original moisturizer was, because people ask me like, what do you do for your skin? I was like, I don't know. Like I don't have a routine, so to speak, but I do know for at least the first 15 years of my life, 16 years of my life, I use Vaseline.
That's it. I've got it. I got it. I had to restructure this question. So, and I think you've answered it a lot. So, does hosting Ninja bring genuine excitement to you, or do you just see it as a job, which I think you've expressed?
It's genuine. It's genuine excitement, just because I am one of those ninjas, and I love to root for the underdog. I love when people doubt other people, because it allows me to go crazier for them.
100%. Have you watched any of the other series? There's a few questions about the Australian series, but I wasn't sure if you'd actually watched any of the.
You know overseas. What? The first year that you guys ran, which was I think is now 2 or 3 years ago now. I think it was, I want to say 2 seasons. You guys should be on your 3rd season or 4th season.
We just finished filming the 4th.
Fourth
So
season. Okay, yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like 3 years ago. And there was this one, and I can't recall, but there was this one that went super viral. You guys had like two or three of them, actually, maybe even more than that, that went super viral. Made it all the way over here to the United States.
Wow.
And I heard that it was like the biggest thing on television when it first came on in Australia. And I mean, it got millions and millions of views. And that was the only time that I really watched it. I've seen the Hebrew. They have one in Israel, the Israel Ninja Warrior. I've seen some of the other ones as well. So I went to the birthplace. I went to Japan, Tokyo, met
Wow.
the people from TBS, Tokyo Broadcast System, and I met the originator of Ninja Warrior for Sasuke. So I've really gone in. But it would be kind of cool, for me to kind of step in. I met with Ben Shepherd, who does UK Ninja Warrior. He's the host over there. I met with him. I went over there and we had some drinks together. That was
Nice.
pretty cool. But yeah, if I come to Australia, I'm gonna hit you up and I'm like, yo, show me now. But you're north, right? Melbourne is north of Sydney,
Uh, South.
or you south?
I had
You're
to think
south.
about. I had to think about that for a second. I'm like,
You're south. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because Tasmania, we're like a half an hour or an hour, a half an hour flight from Tasmania. So yeah, we're in the bottom right corner.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I will say, if you come to Melbourne, do not come during our winter. Oh wait, yeah. Come during your winter because it'll be sunny and warmer, like around January, January,
Hold on.
Feb.
What is it? Yeah, what is it for you guys right now?
So I think we're about to go into. Well, I think we're in spring now. I think we're about to go into spring, and then summer's towards the end. So we have a sunny Christmas. So we have the
Wow,
barbecues out.
this is crazy. Yeah, because
Yeah,
right
man.
now we're complaining because we have like kind of a heat wave going on right here in LA, like
Yeah.
100 degrees.
Yeah, well, maybe don't come late Jan, Feb, because we have the Australian Open, which actually is cool to watch, actually, but the heat gets pretty crazy. Like it get like close to 90, 100, I think, for you Fahrenheit.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's the tennis. I've told Venus Williams. I told her a couple of times that I wanted to come see her play in the Australian Open. I've gone to see her play in Wimbledon. I've gone to see her play here in the States, but I want to go. I've never been to Australian Open, so maybe I'll have an excuse if the pandemic clears things up and stuff like that. I'll have an excuse to get out there.
Yeah, that's I pray for you that you can. I pray I can get out to you, man.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen. Last one I've got for you. Which one does it say? What has changed about your own training / recovery since your involvement with Ninja Warrior? So obviously you've attempted it once, but have you made some modifications to your own training?
Uh, yes. So I don't lift heavy weights anymore,
Okay.
and I try to focus more on upper body, lower body, natural, what I call natural strength, being able to carry my own body weight. So body weight strength is more. I've added more so than everything because, football you don't really do that many push-ups. It's just you're doing squats and bench press and shrugs, and you just look like freaking the Hulk all the time. And I realized how weak I was because until I started doing ninja, or the year that I trained for ninja, I still just stuck with my football routine because it's what I know most, right? It's the routine that I know most. But now I'll add the push-ups and the pull-ups. I did more push-ups and pull-ups than I ever did in my entire life in those 3 months. Because one ninja said, hey, Akbar, every single day you need to do push-ups and pull-ups. And you'd be surprised, as strong as I looked and as He-Man and Herculean as I looked, I wasn't that strong in comparison because I couldn't carry my own body weight. And that's what I love and respect about the ninjas, is how much they can carry their body weight. Now, the one thing I was never able to really get is how you guys throw your body. Like you just throw, like, you be on the wing nuts and you just kind of just toss your body like it's nothing. Almost like sometimes I wonder if the ninjas have hollow bones like birds or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, man, I will tell you. I think I don't think you've met him, but his name's Charlie Robbins. He is probably one of our top ninjas. He climbed Mount Midoriyama this year. There actually had 3 people get up Mount Midoriyama.
How
Yeah.
much did they get?
So our prize money is not exactly the same. So we're this year was 400. So it goes up 100 every year.
Okay.
But I remember him saying, because he's taller than me, he's like 20 centimeters. So let's say not 10 inches, maybe like 5 inches taller than me. And yeah, he's about the same weight as myself. So he's super light. And
Hold on, Kadeem, 1 second, because I think my computer is going to shut off because I'm low on batteries. Just
oh,
1 second.
okay. No problem. No problem.
Get to it before it cuts off.
Come on, man. You're an athletic specimen. I believe in you.
Let's see. All right. Just saved it. All right.
Ah, perfect.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's funny you say that because I remember he's pretty light, but crazy, like insane strength. Actually, and this is probably the last thing I'll ask you, and then I know you got a lot to do. So, out of the competitors that you do know from Australia, so some of the ones that have come over, particularly your Bryson Kleins, Olivia. How do you think they would go on the normal American season? So obviously I was going to be the first person to do it. It wasn't meant to happen this season. How do you think some of us would go on your normal season?
Well, I think it'd be challenging in that I think you guys shoot yours at different times. You guys usually shoot yours during the day, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, we shoot at night. Same. We're the same. We shoot at night.
Oh, you guys shoot yours at nighttime. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So then I think that's always kind of the hard part. I think for you guys, the circadian rhythm is going to be completely off. I think, traveling from as far as you guys do just to be able to compete there, and then just kind of getting used to, I think the obstacles by and large are the same, but I think there's a little, I think ours can sometimes get a little bit more wicked.
Oh.
Because we've started with this traditional base from Sasuke, and it's now kind of evolved into this wicked, crazy thing that kind of goes on and on and on. And so, like this year, we have a new obstacle called corkscrew. I mean, when you see it, it's just gonna go. You're gonna go, what? Like, who designed this? Somebody clearly designed this during the pandemic because they had nothing better else to do with their time but to come up with something harder. So, but I think you guys would do fair well because I think it really does. I think it would be challenging, but I don't put it beyond you guys to be able to get past and hit a buzzer. There's no doubt in my mind that you were going to hit a buzzer when you were scheduled to compete in Los Angeles this year.
Man, I was gonna tell you to eat your Vegemite from the top of the mega wall, man. That was my plan.
Oh yeah. I remember. I was like, I don't want that. We had it all ready and everything. So,
man, I still can't believe they had to go in and get approval. Like that was crazy. I didn't think that was gonna be an issue. But man, look, I'm conscious of your time, man. I thank you so much. I've had so much fun.
Man, I appreciate this, man, and I appreciate you getting up early in the morning. During ninja competing hours to have this. I know we're on different time schedule. You guys don't have, it's Labor Day here for us. It's not late. Do you guys have Labor Day? What holidays do you guys have in Australia?
Oh man, I don't think we have as much holidays as you. I mean,
you guys don't have Thanksgiving, right?
No, we probably just have very different holidays. We celebrate the Queen's birthday, for example.
Queen who?
The English Queen, because we're part of the Commonwealth. We're part of the Commonwealth.
You celebrate her birthday?
Yeah, it's a holiday. Yep.
When's her birthday?
I think it's in June. I'm not too sure. I can't remember.
She's like 90 something, 99, 100, 110. I mean, she's been around ever since and I
hope she keeps going because I like that day off.
Wow. Well, yeah. Who knows? Maybe soon you'll be celebrating Prince Charles' birthday.
Yeah.
Here's a crazy thing that you know. I met Prince Charles when he came to my high school. He came to Crenshaw High School when I was back in 1995. At 95, 96, he came to Crenshaw High School. Yeah. What? So he kicked it in the hood.
Why? That's crazy.
Prince Charles came. Well, we had a student-owned salad dressing company called Food from the Hood. And he had gotten wind of it, and here was this small garden that turned into a real business owned by students. I was part owner of the company, and so he came to visit us at our school in our garden. It was it was pretty cool.
Damn, that is awesome. That is amazing. So yeah, no, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you for taking the time. I think just a really interesting perspective coming from you, and I've really enjoyed this, and I think people are going to get a kick out of this. So, but yes, if you do come to Australia, definitely hit me up. I actually had some gifts for you and Matt, but I still have them at my mother's house. So when I come back next year, hopefully I'm going to bring you some chocolate and a whole bunch of other Australian goodies.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Mike, one question for you.
Yeah.
So I thought if I take my kids and my wife to Australia, and don't judge me, but this is a very stereotypical question and probably some prejudice in there. But I was thinking I don't want them to get into the beach water because I think of Australian Ocean as just filled with sharks. Is that fair? Like I was like, if we go there, I am not going to the beach. We're not getting in the water. We can look at it, but if you get inside the water, you're going to get eaten by a shark. That's what I think about when I think about Australia and the beaches.
Well, we have a subject in high school, shark defensive training. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, yep, that just confirmed it. That just confirmed it. Yep.
No. It's pretty safe, I must say. I mean, there's certain regions of Australia. So I think like up in Perth, so on the west coast.
On the west coast, yeah, that's the west coast.
Yeah, and maybe Queensland. I think there's some beaches where sharks can get to, but generally speaking, there's nets very far out at beaches, especially that are populated by humans, and there are nets that stop sharks from.
But isn't that a sign in itself that you guys have nets to stop the sharks from coming in?
If you're swimming, 300 meters out from shore and you get taken out by a shark, you're going like so far out that there's no way you're going to be saved. Okay, well, I mean, look, that's fair enough. You probably shouldn't go out there. But when you're close to the water, when you're close to the actual beach, man, there's life. It's pretty safe, man. I mean, I can't really swim, so if when you go to the water, I'll watch your bags for you, because that's my job. I watch the bags. So, but I promise you, it's pretty. Especially if you go into the main beaches that have lifeguards and everything. If you go to some secluded beach in Perth that has no lifeguards, I don't know. I can't guarantee.
You're going to get eaten by a shark. You know what?
It's possible. It's possible.
You confirmed it in my head. I'm not going. I'm going to go by the beach. We're going to kick our feet in the sand, and I'm going to discipline my kids with a belt if they even think about getting in the ocean.
I will say though, if you do go to some of the Perth beaches though, the nice ones, man, the water is so clear, and in Queensland, like the water's crystal clear. I haven't been to a Perth beach, but man, they're probably some of the best beaches in the world.
But isn't that just clear vision for the sharks to where to bite you? Oh, I think I'm going to take his ankle out. Like, no, I'm not doing it.
Hey, well, hey, at least
I'm not doing it.
At least you'd be able to see it.
Yeah, I can see it coming.
You know what you're in for. So it's
fair enough.
No, man. But, man. Thank you so much. I do hope you come. But take care, my friend, and I look forward to seeing you in the US. Take care.
All right. Later.
Bye-bye.